their patterns repeat. It seems inevitable that all of our stories are eerily similar. It's the tendencies and the actions of these toxic people with narcissistic traits are all the same. One thing you'll notice is as you start learning more about this and as you start communicating with other people who have experience in it, that your ex, whether it's a mom or a dad, is doing the exact same things. They're acting the same way. They're following the same playbook, the narcissistic playbook, to almost to a T. It's actually kind of eerie when you look at it because, initially you think the behavior is so bizarre that it doesn't make any sense, and you probably haven't really seen it before, at least until, in this type of manifestation. And it's incredibly tough. I mean, I know when I first was going through this, it seemed unreal. It didn't seem real, right? And I would talk to people about it, friends and family and stuff, and just trying to make sense of it all. And it was almost as if I was trying to tell people just to remind myself that it was real, that I really went through it. So the problem in our situation, especially when you have kids, is that the trap that they tend to go down, or the path they tend to go down, we're the ones who actually get caught in a trap, is they pretend to be caring parents. And we believe it initially. In the beginning stage of this, we think we're dealing with someone rational, and we try to make sense of it thinking, well, we make excuses. We decide or we say to ourselves, well, they're just angry. Well, they're just, there must be a reason, because why else would someone act this way? That's really tough because then you start trying to figure out what exactly your role in this is. And just to be upfront right now, your role in this, what's happened to get them to act the way that they're acting, to come at you the way they're coming at you, is you're no longer giving them control. You're no longer giving them that narcissistic supply. So when that happens, when they realize that you don't have that value anymore, then all bets are off. And they start following down this playbook and going along the same way. Like I said before, like pretending to be a good parent. Now that can be both ways. I mean, it can be, if your ex is the dad who falls in this category, then they're the ones who spends hardly any time with their kids but are blasting it all over social media, and everybody is giving them sympathy and telling them what a great father they are, while you're sitting there knowing the truth and what's really happening. And it's really painful to watch that. Conversely, the same thing happens on the other side. If you're a father and you're dealing with it and you know that the mother isn't genuine, it's along the same lines. See, these patterns are not even gender-based. Yeah, sure, there are some characteristics that are more female and some that are more male, but bottom line, and one thing you'll start to notice really quick through this, is it's all pretty much the same. They do the same thing. Now, the good thing about them doing the same thing is it allows us to predict what's going to happen, it allows us to prepare for it, and allows us to develop techniques to deal with it. The next thing you'll notice is that they target you to remain the victim. You have to be the bad guy. You have to be the mom that won't let you see the kids, or you have to be the dad that is deadbeat and isn't interested in the kids, right? Whatever the situation is, it's this victim status that they truly crave. And again, that falls into the pattern where they're looking to maintain sources of supply external from you that, they're the victim, that people need to help them. People need to give them attention. People need to feel sorry for them. People need to go out of their way to give them a leg up, so to speak. So on that, they end up doing everything they can to maintain emotional control. They will do manipulative tactics to try to get under your skin, to try to get you to respond, to try to get you to follow their plan and submit to what they're trying to do. There's all kinds of techniques and tactics they'll try to employ to do that. And as you morph, as you change your tactics, they change theirs. It's really frustrating because as you're going through this, as you're making progress, one thing, and this is tough, one thing you'll notice is that as you make a success, let's say you realize that hybrid no contact is a good way to go. And you're like, oh man, this is really working. And you feel like you're getting progress. They will change their tactic to try to undermine what you're doing and try to get you to re-engage. You have to be really prepared for that, because if you're not anticipating it, you're not thinking about it, you'll get, and this is what happened with me, you get to the point where you reach a not a breaking point, but you reach a stage where you feel better, like a breakthrough for yourself. And you'll feel good about it. And you're like, oh man, okay, now I've gotten through this phase, things are starting to stabilize, I understand what I'm dealing with. Well, then they morph. They morph to try something different to see if they can get under your skin to get you to pull back in. A good example for that for me is before I came up with hybrid no contact, I tried to go no contact. I just decided, you know what? Everyone talks about no contact. I'm going to go no contact. And I stopped. First thing is I stopped sending things to try to engage with her. And that lasted for a few weeks. And then I think she realized that, wait a minute, he's not trying to come after me anymore. He's not trying to engage with me anymore. And then her tactic changed. She started reaching out to me. And then when I continued to ignore that, then it turned into, then she started playing the same thing that I was saying to her before. We need to co-parent. We need to communicate. It was all to try to pull me back in. And you need to be prepared for that, because more than likely, the same type of tactic is going to happen with you as well. You're going to make improvements, and you're going to start understanding what they're doing, and you're going to implement tactics to help you, or tips and techniques to help you deal with it. And they will morph to try to get you to re-engage, to get you to respond and react, to get them emotional control and supply. So one of the traps we fall into on this is we initially think that we're dealing with a reasonable person. Now, I talked a little bit about this at the beginning of this video, but what happens is you've made all those excuses, and you think fundamentally that they truly care about the kids, that at some point they'll start to be reasonable and decide and start looking for ways to make things better for the environment for the kids. And while we're stuck in that mode, the problem is we're being played. We're allowing things to happen and allowing our boundaries to basically be crossed when we're still thinking that, okay, this person is going to come around. This person is not going to be this way forever. And the problem is, in the early stages of this, is really determining whether you're dealing with a narcissistic personality type or not. Because, divorces aren't exactly a fun joy experience right from the get-go anyway. So there's conflict inherently built in. The difference with a normal type of situation with people who are basically fundamentally normal in these situations is that's what will happen, right? People will finally start to get over being angry, to dealing, or over dealing with the chaos, and realize it's not worth it and want to reason. And you'll see that. You'll see that with their actions, though. And that's the critical part. If you don't see that, if things are progressing and it's constantly my way or the highway, or this is the way it's going to be, or I have decided this is how it's going to be, then you have to recognize those for what they are. And the sooner you can do that and start basically accepting the situation you're dealt, accepting your reality, and basically start to use that absolute thinking to condition your mind to realize what you're dealing with, so you don't keep trying to make those compromises that just fall on deaf ears. That's a critical step in this whole process. Bottom line, we're really not able to reason with somebody that's not reasonable. And somebody who falls into this characteristics of personality traits is really what we're talking about. And like I said a minute ago, if you're dealing with somebody like this and you've tried to make compromise and they absolutely won't do it, if what you see is if every idea you come up with, they're against just because you come up with it, that is a really strong indicator that you're dealing with something a little more toxic and a little more insidious than just a typical divorce that has issues. And when that happens, look for these patterns of behavior. Look whenever they're trying to smear you with everybody. Look whenever they're trying to make you the abuser and them the victim. I mean, when you see these characteristics and you see these traits, it's a strong indicator of what you're dealing with. Look for whenever, people are being flying monkeys and you see other people who are basically doing the bidding of your ex and perpetuating that story and that false narrative. That is a really strong indicator of what you're dealing with. And these patterns, like I said, these patterns repeat. The final thing I want to leave you with, and I want you to think about, and this is a trap that I fell in the beginning stages of my situation, is I thought that people were manipulating my ex to cause her to do the things that she was doing. You may think the same thing. You might be looking at it and say, okay, well, this group of friends is a bad group of friends and is giving them bad advice. That's really not the case. What they're doing is they want this reality to be perpetuated, and they're surrounding themselves with people who tell them what they want to hear. Now, this is really important because when I was going through this and I fell into that category, I was like, oh, if she would only not be around these people. Well, come to find out later in discussion with people, the people that were trying to tell her things like, hey, work on your marriage. Is this, you've got so much time invested in this. Why don't you try to save it? Well, that's not what she wanted to hear. So she discounted those people who were trying to provide that guidance, and then surrounding herself with people who were telling her the complete opposite. He's a monster. He doesn't care about the kids. You're a victim. You've been through so much, such a hardship, and I want to say that because for me, when I was going through that and I was thinking, oh my God, if she could just get away from these people, we could actually start having some reasonable discussions and try to repair repair the situation, repair the marriage, or at least come up with a framework that we could actually co-parent together. They're not interested in that. And they're only going to surround themselves with people who tell them what they want to hear. So you're not going to be able to, say to them, well, you need to start talking to different people, because it doesn't matter. They're going to seek out the people who validate what they believe and the reality that they're trying to create. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with just recognize that there's patterns with these type of situations. And as soon as you start noticing that, then you go check out, I'll put a link up here, go check out the video on absolute thinking, because that's a really critical step to really help you start framing your mind on what you're dealing with and how to move forward. Okay, so on that, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you want to add to the discussion, do that in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. And if you haven't done so, head over to the dadsurvivingdivorce.com website and sign up for the newsletter so you can get on that. And then you can directly email me when you hit reply on those things. And I will chat with you guys in the next video. So take care. Bye.